Hi, my name is Levi Knight, Youth Program Coordinator for the Mighty Creatives, and you're now listening to the Mighty Voices podcast, where we discuss topics that concern young people and the role creativity has to play in these topics. Right now, I've got one of our youth board members by the name of
Chantel.
Hi Chantel, how are you? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Cool. What we usually do when we start these podcasts, we have a little icebreaker. So what I wanted to do was ask you, what book are you reading, or what piece of art have you seen, heard, discovered this week that's had an impact on you?
I'm going to jump straight into the music. I've been loving a bit of country music.
Okay.
You know, with the summer vibes and just going on some road trips and just having the good vibes of music that can bring.
Have you got any particular artists that you've been listening to that you like?
A bit of Rascal Flatts, life is a highway, that kind of vibe, you know, just in my car.
I'll just
life.
take your word for it. I don't really know too much country. What inspired you to listen to country? Like, have you always listened to that in, like, growing up and things like that?
I haven't actually, but I think it's just a change in weather, and I went to America a while back and just being inspired by like the Texas cowboys and you know, this really alternative life that's quite different to rainy old Leicestershire. So
I can imagine. And you went to, where did you go? To Texas?
Texas, yeah.
Texas is huge. I'm sure that's one of the biggest states in America, isn't it?
Everything's bigger in Texas, apparently. But
oh, yeah. Did you do Route 66 as well?
Yes, yeah. I did a road trip all the way across from California, LA, all the way through Texas, obviously, and then into Miami. So it was a real cultural experience. But
yeah. Oh, that's wicked, man.
Left me with some inspiration, definitely.
I like that. So it's got you on the country and western.
Yeah.
I like that. Me, what have I done? I had a performance last week. I was supporting a group called the Children of Zeus. I don't know if you've heard of the Children of Zeus, but it was amazing. It was an amazing performance. I haven't performed in ages. So it was really nice to go out and the crowd engaged with me, and I just want to go back out there again. Do you know what I mean? So look out for me this summer. And let's just get a little bit more about you. What is your artistic practice? What do you do with?
So I do a range of things, really. I'd say mainly it's animation and graphic design, sort of digital art and videos, that kind of thing. But I've also recently started working a few hours in the local library.
Okay.
So connecting to that arts and culture that the Mighty Creatives is all about. And it's really rewarding, and just seeing different forms of creativity, really.
That's amazing. Giving back as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back. So what I wanted to ask was, how long have you been part of the youth board, and how have you found it?
So I've been part of the youth board since around 2020, late 2021, I believe. And it's been great. So I think we're in the third year now. Yeah. And it's amazing to see, when we started the youth board, I was part of the original members, and so to see actually the progression of how the Mighty Creatives has pushed the youth board and incorporated the youth voice from the work that we do in the meetings has been really inspiring. We've been part of events, and we're at an event right now, another one. And it's amazing just to see the impact and some of the amazing work that they are doing as a charity, especially as a young person, where often you feel your voice isn't represented, but part of the youth board it is.
And you lot do some great work. And just to add on to what you're saying, I started at TMC back in 2022. So I was working with the youth board like mid-2022. So to see your progression from then to now is amazing. Do you know what I mean? You're not so... I felt like you was a bit like deer in the headlights at first. You've done a few events now, and I think you lot are really commanding and leading the youth board in such a positive way.
I think definitely. I think the youth board has obviously been beneficial for the Mighty Creatives, the charity, but also for every one of us individually. We've been able to really play into what we enjoy and build on our strengths and have different opportunities that can build into that. And it's helped a lot of us with our careers and just different freelancing opportunities and just further training. So it's been definitely development all round.
It's been brilliant. So today we're at the youth board event, Connect, Create and Converse. So the Connect, Create, Converse event has been created by our youth board as a way to explore alternative routes into creative careers. We wanted to show the possibilities available for young people to explore creative careers as a viable option and not something that feels out of reach. It was important to us to host guest artists with varied backgrounds and roots into the arts for them to share their experience and advice for young people. This event includes creative workshops run by artists, including 2 of our own youth board members, a Q&A panel of young artists sharing their experience and advice hosted by the Youth Board, and a marketplace for creative organisations sharing their opportunities. We've also got a letter that was sent out by our Youth Board to various creative partners. So we've got, your voice matters, whichever way you choose to express it. The world needs every form of creativity, whether you choose to pick up a camera, journal, sewing kit, laptop, turntable, paintbrush, or one of the other endless pathways to creative expression. It can be hard to know where to start, and we hope we can answer some of the questions you might have. Thank you for joining us today to connect, create, and converse. We hope you learned or experienced something new and found something which made you feel inspired. Remember, you bring your own unique set of ideas, experiences, materials, and skills, and no one can create like you can. From the Mighty Creatives Youth Board. I think that's an amazing letter to send out to people to come and connect, converse, and create with us. Do you get what I mean? I might have got that the wrong way around.
I love that letter. When I first read it, I thought, wow, that's powerful, and that's exactly what we're trying to put across in our message, is everybody's creativity matters no matter what form it is, and it's really powerful.
Absolutely. And I think times have changed from when I was a young nipper, let's say, to where, like you're saying, creative careers are a viable option now.
Absolutely.
Like, people can make a career out of being a creative, and they can find passion and fulfillment in that. So I think it's important, and what I like about the letter is it's warm, it's welcoming, and I think as a young person, sometimes you need that because there's a bit of confusion in terms of which way to go. There's people giving you opinions and advice in, go that way, no, go this way. Do you know what I mean? So I think that letter there, coming from a youth board and young people, I think it relates very well. So thank you for that. Moving on, I've got a few questions for you. So the first question I wanted to ask is, what inspires you to be creative?
What inspires me to be creative? I think it's that creativity actually just gives me a bit of purpose, a bit of meaning away from just general life and all of the hustle and bustle and just a very corporate built world. I think just being able to have that creativity in whatever it is, so whether it is actually, painting or drawing or making an animation, but also being creative in the way that I live my life every day, the path that I go down in my career. I swap and change, how I feel and what I feel driven by, and it's really important to me, I think, is that.
I like that. It sounds like creativity is a freedom.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is a good word. I think creativity is freedom to just be yourself and live your life how you want to live it,
I can
really.
completely relate to that. I think for me, creativity is thinking outside the box. I think a lot of the time we're herded into options and ways to go. Like you mentioned, the corporate world. And I think nowadays there's a lot more creativity within the corporate arena now.
Yeah.
It's getting there, maybe not as fast as we'd like it to be, but I think there's a place. Like, for example, a big corporate company like, I don't know, a bank. They use videographers, creative ways to create content, to promote, I don't know, mortgages, savings, things like that. So I think, I appreciate
it's having that fresh approach and that flexibility. I think that is the future.
Yeah,
I think
flexibility is a key word. I think freedom and flexibility, definitely. And just not following the rules, not illegally, but I think sometimes you've got to break the rules sometimes to just cover new ground. The next question I wanted to ask is, we kind of touched on it now. Why is creativity important?
I think creativity is important because that is what allows for new developments. It allows for progression. It allows for growth. And whether that's personal or, like you say, in businesses and in the world, there needs to be creativity to have new ideas, to generate things that are going to go forward. And it's so important to, I think often they're overlooked, the creative subjects, and more in favour of maths and science and English. But I think actually we should be looking at the creative subjects just as much, because that is also the future, and you can't have one without the other. Everything around us is innately creative. The building that we're sat in right now, the technology that we're using. So I think it's important to really foster that.
I think you make a really good point about that. I think creativity is creation. Everything is creativity at one point. Everything starts as a thought or an idea. So what I was going to put forward to you is, sometimes I think people view creativity as your typical like art, sewing, things of that nature. And I think there's a place, like we just spoke about a minute ago, about creativity within the corporate world. But I think even in subjects, you can be creative with maths, English, science. And I think incorporating that into subjects, I think you'd get a better response in terms of young people engaging and maybe excelling in some of these subjects where people aren't typically excelling.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, I think, because just thinking back to when I was in school and studying for exams or GCSEs, it was when I was trying to revise or memorise the points, I would often make posters or doodles or drawings, and actually having that, I believe it's called dual coding, so combining both the left and right side of the brain of this more practical side, but also with the creativity, it actually enhances so many abilities, especially in young people and children who are learning. So, yeah, like you say, just plugging in a bit of creativity into these otherwise not so creative subjects, even in a simple way, I think would be really amazing.
Absolutely. It's that duality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like there's a duality that you need to find that balance. And
absolutely.
We're getting there, but I think more events like this are going to help encourage those that aren't typically creative, that don't typically lean towards creativity or view creativity in the same way as a creative. I'm tripping over myself there, but I know what I mean. What I mean by that is how we spoke about English and maths. They're not usually subjects that foster a lot of creativity. Do you know what I mean? But I think as time progresses, using different ways, I think they will become more and more. And then my final question for you is, why should young people get into creative careers?
Why should young people get into creative
Tough
careers?
One.
This is
Sorry, I put that one on you, didn't I?
You left the big one to the end. I would say whatever career you go into is actually creative, but to get into a creative career is, like we've said already, I think it's that freedom, it's the flexibility, and it's being able to play into your strengths. So often in a corporate world, or I don't just want to shame the corporate world in this podcast, but there seems to be a right and wrong way of doing things, and I think having a creative career or just doing creative hobbies or interests, there is no right or wrong, and that is that freedom and flexibility again to explore that and explore yourself, your own interests, and I think that's really, really powerful, and it should be something everyone can have the right and consider to.
I think you make a really valid point there. There is no right or wrong answer. So with that being said, I think it enhances development.
Yeah.
The willing to take a risk, try something new. Do you know what I mean? Because there is no right or wrong answer. I think people are crippled by right and wrong answers a lot of the time, and it's that fight, flight, or fawn. Do you know what I mean? People don't move.
It's character development, isn't it? Being able to try something, if it doesn't work, then it's all about creative problem solving as well, to find a different way around, or can you either stick with it, can you pivot, can you quit it? Like, it's finding those creative answers in between what may seem like a mundane task, I think.
Absolutely, and with our creative mentors at the Mighty Creatives, sometimes when they're working with young people, they're not necessarily doing their artistic practice. They might be a photographer, but the young person wants to cook. So it's a case of learning new skills together and trying something else. And in the end, it enhances your creative CV.
Yeah.
It enhances the things that you can do. And by realizing that you're able to do something, there's certain mindset and skills that you pick up of being able to manage all scenarios. You know what I mean? Especially challenging scenarios, you find a way to manage that.
It gives you a confidence, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
When you've done something creative or anything in life, when you've accomplished something and you sort of push yourself outside your comfort zone, if you're not familiar with it to begin with, it's that confidence that carries forward with you in absolutely every other area of your life.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chantel. Appreciate your time. And hope you enjoy the event. I'll see you around later on.
Nice speaking to you.
Thank you. So right now we've got Romy, who's been helping the youth board to organise this event. Hi, Romy.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
You're not stressed out too much?
No, I've stopped running around and organising things, and the event is happening as we speak. It's in flow, and it's going well.
And it looks good. You've done a really good job. You're putting a lot of good work. Like I said, you're politely persistent.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
So what I wanted to do is just ask you a couple of questions about one, what inspired the event? What's the aim of the event?
So the event came directly from our youth board, who wanted an opportunity to show other young people what opportunities there are to get into creative careers, opportunities and pathways that might not be the traditional route in.
Okay.
So for people that maybe don't want to stay in further education, because that can often feel like the only option, but it's not. People who maybe want to get more practical experience rather than theoretical. So it's really looking at all those alternative different pathways into creative careers. And yeah, it totally came from our youth board. It was their idea. They're the ones that have driven their aims and the route of it. So it's all down to them, really.
Brilliant, brilliant. I like that. So how long have you been at TMC for?
3 months? 4 months.
3 months. How are you finding it?
It's good. It's a lovely organisation. I'm having a very good time. It's been very much jump into the deep end. In a good way, though. I've really enjoyed getting stuck in and working directly with people. I think that's the best thing when you're directly seeing the impact that you're having. So yeah, it's been great.
And I think working at TMC, your experience and my experience, I suppose, is showing that creative careers are a viable option. Do you know what I mean? Because although we work for TMC, we still are creatives in our own right, and we're able to bring that to the table. So that's one of the things I really enjoy about working at TMC.
Yeah, I think when you're younger and you think about creative careers, you can see it as quite one specific thing. You're either an actor or a musician, but actually the reality of being self-employed as an artist, as you well know, it's so varied. There's so many different aspects to being an artist. You're basically your own business.
Absolutely.
So I think part of this event is just highlighting that as well, that it's not one thing, and you can. The beautiful thing of being a creative career, you can make it what you want it to be.
Absolutely, and I think as well, what's important about this is I think creativity isn't always the art form that you're doing. You can bring your creativity from what you've picked up from your art form to a place like TMC. Or any organisation, you can work in a creative way, and I think that's one of the beauties of it. I was speaking with Chantel earlier on, and we was talking about how it gives you a freedom and a flexibility. You know what I mean? So yeah, thank you for that. I've got a couple of questions that I'd like to ask you. So the first question is, what inspires you to be creative?
Oh, that is such a good question. Did I write that question? I didn't even think of my own answer.
No, I did.
That's a good question, Levi.
No, you did write it.
Oh, did I? What inspires me to be creative? I think a big part of it is the enjoyment of being creative and the feeling that you get when you're in that zone, in that headspace of creating something. I think that's really special. I think I like the freedom of it as well. There aren't rules. I think a lot of the time in education and in work, you can feel really constricted by rules and right and wrongs, but with creativity a lot of the time there isn't right and wrongs, and you can make a mistake and actually that becomes the masterpiece.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
That's what I tell my kids, man. I tell them, like, if they do something wrong, a drawing or something, I always say to them, that's where most of the greatest pieces of art are being created, from a mistake. So yeah, I completely agree with that. My next question I've got for you is, why is creativity important?
Did I write this question as well?
No, I wrote this one.
Why is creativity important? I think
You kind of touched on it in the last answer. I think it's sorry, I'm gonna let you answer.
No, please answer it for me. I think creativity sees possibilities where sometimes logic doesn't. So if we didn't have creativity in the world, we wouldn't progress forward.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't problem solve as well. We wouldn't, even like in a political sphere, we wouldn't be as hopeful. We wouldn't see different futures for ourselves. So I think creativity on like a big scale is so important for humanity. And then on an individual level, I think it's important to nurture the creative side of your brain, because it really ties in with mindfulness, and it's just really fun. I think it's really good for you.
I agree. And I think creativity, there are skills that you pick up from being creative. I think there's important skills in creativity that you can use in other areas of life that might not be so creative. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
I think it's very important. And then my final question is, why should young people get into creative careers?
Young people should get into creative careers because it isn't just one thing. There is so many different possibilities, and I think it's something that can feel daunting, but it's not. It's absolutely possible. I think it's a really hopeful thing to be able to shape your own career, and I think creative careers really give you the opportunity to do that. So everyone should go for it.
And it allows you to think outside the box and break rules. Thank you, Romy. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you.
So right now we're joined by one of our creative mentors, and he's doing a bit of a side hustle today, taking photos of the event. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Dean Levers, and yeah, you're right, I am a creative mentor and also a professional photographer, creative practitioner.
Okay, nice. I like that. And we're not going to drop any mindfulness in there.
And a trained mindfulness teacher.
Very
as well.
important.
Yeah.
Very important that is. So
many strings to my bow.
Absolutely. Like I say, I'm a man of many lanyards. But yeah, it's nice to have you. Today we're at the event of Connect, Create and Converse. So I just wanted to talk to a few people around, and I know that you're a creative mentor, so it'd be nice to get your views about today and things like that. But before we get into that, what I wanted to ask was, what book are you reading, or what piece of art have you seen, heard, discovered this week or recently that has had an impact on you?
I'm actually going back to the mindfulness. I'm reading a book at the moment called Night Boat by Alan Spence, and it's about a 16th century Zen Buddhist monk who's training to become a kind of Zen master.
Okay.
So yeah, it's super inspiring because he's kind of going through lots and lots of struggles and internal struggles and things. So yeah, it's reinvigorating my own mindfulness practice as well.
I like that. I watch a lot of interviews and speeches by Alan Watts. Have you ever heard of Alan Watts?
No.
And he talks about Zen. And what I like about him, the image that you have of Buddhists are they're holier than thou. That they don't ever feel those negative emotions or anything like that, which is quite opposite.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just
not
they find
case.
a way of managing and living through that. So, yeah, man, wicked. Thanks for sharing that. So, what I wanted to ask a few questions. First of all, we've already touched on what your artistic practice is. So that leads me on to what inspires you to be creative?
I think overall, I kind of use creativity and my own practice in order to understand myself and the world around me. So it begins as a very much kind of like an internal process of me trying to understand myself and my situation, and then that widens out. And so it's a way of me making sense of either my environment or the community I find myself in. So yeah, I feel like a lot of my art practice is me kind of unpicking the world around me to kind of make sense of things, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a very good answer, to be fair, because just thinking about what you're saying there, I think it is. Creativity starts internally. Do you get what I mean? Like, for example, I make music myself, but when I'm writing the lyrics to my songs, it's an internal thing. It's possibly something that I'm going through at that moment in time, a question that I might have, or it starts off within and then it builds and comes without, and you get to share that with the world. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, Dean. Thank you. Moves on to my next question nicely is, why is creativity important?
Yeah, I think because of that, I think it can help. Not just me. I'm not just speaking about me now. I'm speaking kind of widely. I guess in my experience, I've seen it can help people regulate. It can help people understand themselves. You know, creativity is a good outlet for things that are, might be bothering you or things you need to make sense of. And I think it's vital in lots of areas. You know, a lot of people say, I'm not really arty. I'm a scientist, for example, or I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. And it's like, but there's always an element of creativity and creative thinking in any walk of life.
Absolutely.
No matter what job you do, I think it's important to have a creative outlet or recognise that creativity can give you moments to kind of pause, reflect, just do something a little bit different, be that, watching a piece of theatre or doing something creative yourself, creating something yourself. I
agree with that, because the way creativity is pitched to us is you're either an artist, you draw, you sing, or like practical creativity, like your generic, whereas I think there's creativity in everything. Whereas we was talking earlier to a few other guests, members of the youth board, and they were speaking about how creativity is the start of everything. Everything starts from creativity.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? The building that we're in started as an idea.
Yeah, it's ideas,
point.
isn't it? Yeah, it's just
You know
what I was
mean?
thinking. It's ideas, yeah.
So yeah, I can really identify with that. And then also, why do you think? Well, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but why should young people get into creative careers?
I mean, creative careers is. I think it's such a vast ocean of possibility, isn't it? I mean, you know, you could design video games, you could design apps, you could be a graphic designer, you could make packaging for stuff, you know, like you just said, this building, you could be an architect. There's so much scope for creative industries in this country, especially, and I think it's largely undervalued. I think, especially by government, you know, I think it's kind of glossed over of how important the creative industries are, especially for the economy as well. And you know, let's not forget, COVID is not a distant memory.
Yeah.
What did we all do when we were trapped in our houses? We interacted with creative material and creative pursuits. So I think it's getting, I guess, young people to realise that, yeah, you know, you may move further through the school and education system, and there may be less opportunity to be creative because of, you know, budget cuts and the like, and squeezing in more curriculum activity. But I think it's just making young people realise that there's still scope to do it, and it can be a viable career path. It can be a viable career choice, you know.
Completely agree, and I think that's what's important about this event that the youth board's put on. The fact that we've got people from the Curve and others here to actually share that information, because I think a lot of the time it's not widely promoted. Sometimes I feel with regards to creative careers and industries, you've kind of got to be in that to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Or you need to know someone to be aware of that.
What's the phrase, isn't it? You got to be able to see it in order to be it. And like the young people are taking part in 3 workshops today by 3 professional artists who do this full time. They're seeing me float around my camera, you know, being paid to take photographs. So it's if you're not exposed to that kind of activity, and you're not seeing these people doing this, how will you get to think, well, that could be something I could do, you know?
Brilliant point. That's a really, really good point, because like you just said, you're walking around with a camera, there's going to be a young person here, it's going to be like, I'd love to do that. And we've had experiences with that before.
Yeah.
You was at an event the other week.
Yeah.
Was it at the Leicester Football Stadium?
Yeah.
And there was a young person that saw you with a camera, and that's what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, and they've, you know, I've gone on to mentor young people who were at one of my workshops, and when I really like what Dean's doing here, I'd like to learn a bit more about that. So it's having that opportunity, I think, and those kind of touch points to be able to come in and go, well, I've had a go at that and I've experienced it, but how do I take it further? And you know, being inquisitive about that and finding out those places you can try these things.
Wicked. And then finally, my final question is, if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
I think I would probably say to myself that no decision is final, especially when, you know, you're thinking about careers, especially when in terms of going to college and university and stuff. And primarily I kind of felt like my education had finished and I was just in work, and that's what I did. I worked in a shop, I worked in a garden centre, you know, that kind of thing. And yeah, I made those decisions at the time, but none of those decisions were permanent. You know, I can change, and even now, you know, I think, yeah, I'm a photographer, and I have been for the last 10 years. But like you say, there's the mindfulness kind of practice coming in there as well that I'm now working with schools on, and that might take off. That might be something that I move into, and maybe photography takes a back seat, and that's fine. But I think it's just, I would say to myself, you know, you've always got a choice. You've always got different routes you can take, and nothing you decide to do is ever the final thing.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Dean. Appreciate your time, and I hope you have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Hi there. Right now, we've got 2 participants on the event that we've got today. We're going to speak to them, see how their day's going, and yeah, let's go. So the first person we've got is
Ace.
And the second person we have?
Josie.
Nice to meet you. My name's Levi. I'm the youth program coordinator from the Mighty Creatives, and I also host the TMC Mighty Voices podcast. That's a mouthful. So, how have you found the day today, Ace?
Honestly, it's the best thing that has ever happened to me because I have a disability and sometimes things I do are really difficult for me to do, and to be able to participate in a day like this, it's awesome, and it really helps with the mental health side of things.
Brilliant, brilliant. Where are you coming from, Ace? What area are you coming from?
Rutland,
Rutland.
so far, far away.
It's not too far. It's a little bit far, but not that far.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. I appreciate that. And what about you?
Yeah, so Rutland as well. It's not so far, but no, today's been really great. It's given me a chance to socialise with other people and get to know people and share hobbies and ideas. And there's such amazing people with great talents, and I think the whole day's just been really inspiring.
Yeah.
It's been
Wicked.
great.
I like that. Have you had a favourite workshop? Which workshop have you enjoyed?
Is it that creative one with all the stickers? And
Okay.
there was loads of like we were making. Like,
Oh, what
little
was it called? It was
scrapbooks.
called. Bear with me a second. I've got the name. Junk journaling workshop.
Yeah, incredible. It was so fun.
Yeah?
It was just great to be reading.
I quite like the poetry.
Okay.
I do write poetry at home. I've written, 3 or 4 pieces of poetry, so it was great to get more ideas and
Yeah.
more information about poetry.
I can identify with that completely because I make music outside of my job at TMC. So I'm a rapper. I've got a couple of videos on YouTube, a couple
you?
projects on Spotify and things like that.
way.
So it was nice to be in Matt's workshop and see different ways of creating and using words.
Wow.
So yeah, I enjoyed that one. Okay, so what do you hope to achieve after this? Like, what do you want to get from this event?
I think to get inspired by more things about jug modelling or poetry, and just to clear the mind and come up with various of ideas and just enjoy having that free space to be yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. What about you?
I think also like the poetry and the junk modelling, it's very artistic, so it kind of gives people maybe an idea of what their career could look like
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
So it's definitely kind of like it's opened many pathways as
Yeah.
to what could go on for you in the future. Definitely.
I think the workshops have been brilliant.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of the time, sometimes as an adult, you can say, oh, I'm not creative at all, do you know what I mean? And then you shy away from certain activities. But today, I've taken part in all the activities and I've really enjoyed it. And I remember there's a freedom to it.
Yeah, definitely.
It brings you back to, like, I'm a bit older, so it takes me back to when I was younger, and just that feeling of freedom of being able to do whatever you want and create. So I've really enjoyed the day today as well.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you
been
have
great.
a favourite thing that we did today?
Workshop. My favourite was the poetry workshop.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I thought the different methods of writing that Matt went through, I thought they were really eye-opening. Even as a writer myself, we're always learning in life. I think that's creativity. It's always a learning curve.
He explained stuff really well, and I think with the beat, I think that,
Like picturing a metronome
yeah.
when you're writing helps. Like, you find words that people would say like, oh, that doesn't rhyme with anything.
Yeah.
And then if you think about it, like, in another way, you find that there are so many words that could rhyme
Absolutely.
with that word.
And that's part of that creativity where it's outside the box. There is no right or wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a freedom to make an error. And I was saying earlier on, some of the best art that we see in the world is from somebody making an error.
Yeah.
They might have spilt paint on something, and to somebody else, they're like, that's brilliant, that's great. So
Yeah.
I think, that's the power of creativity, where there's no right or wrong. And I think that's really been emphasized today, and I really enjoyed that. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate you
you.
talking with me.
You're welcome.
And yeah, we'll definitely catch up again in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi there, we're back again, and we've got 2 more participants from the Youth Board event. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Lauren.
And my name's Hope.
Nice to meet you, Lauren and Hope. So to start off, what I'm going to ask is, what book are you reading, or what piece of art have you seen, heard, or discovered this week that's had an impact on you? So that could be anything. Could be a movie, book, show.
A show.
Okay.
Maybe like films.
Films, okay.
Stuff like that.
Okay, nice. I like that. So what's your favourite film?
I haven't got a favourite thing in particular, but like I've been watching something on BBC iPlayer.
Okay.
And I feel like that's quite inspiring to me.
Okay, what's it called?
So basically, it's about like LGBTQ.
Okay.
And I'm like I would say a part of that. So, and I think it's just like nice to watch it where there's a diverse range of people on there, and yeah, I just think like it's quite inspiring to me. Because
I hear that, and
Yeah.
it's like support.
yeah,
as well.
and you don't feel like alone as well.
Okay, that's important. I think that's very important because I think a lot of the time in life, sometimes we do feel alone,
Yeah.
but we're not the only ones that really feel like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that,
No,
Lauren.
that's okay.
What about you, Hope?
So I have been reading Rupi Kaur's poetry books. Currently I'm reading Milk and Honey.
Okay.
And I just love the things in there because it like sometimes they can be like a bit traumatizing, but it's relatable.
Yeah.
And it feels validating to know that somebody else has had those experiences too.
Yeah.
And then they've turned it into poetry.
I think that's brilliant. And you know what it is, Hope? I'm sorry to change the subject, but I'd love to hear your journey to where you are now, because I think it's an amazing story, and I think you should be standing on top of everywhere shouting it out. So if you want to, would you be able to give us like a brief overview of your story of how you are where you are in the position that you're in?
So like how I got to
Yeah.
there. So I went into foster care as a child, and I stayed in foster care until I was 16. I had some ups and downs in foster care. I had some absolutely amazing foster parents who I'm still in touch with. Had some bad experiences. I left foster care when I was 16 because I was just worried about what would happen. So I just left myself. And then I had children when I was 18. I have 2 beautiful children.
Beautiful.
And I raised my children myself for the first couple of years, and then when they started school, I decided that I wanted to have a career, and so I got a job in a school. I was running an after-school club, and I started doing a primary education degree, which I have just this week finished.
Congratulations, brilliant.
Thank you. And over the past years, I've still done a lot of work for the council, that the local authority that were my corporate parents. And through doing that work, I've now made a career out of being in foster care, and I am a personal advisor to care leavers, which was actually what was on my first ever pathway plan.
Absolutely brilliant. I wish I had a sound effect, with a round of applause. So I think it'd be a massive round of applause. I remember the first time I saw you was at a Rutland Awards evening.
Yeah.
And I felt you spoke so eloquently with your speech, and your little ones were in the crowd shouting, "Mummy!"
It was my little one covered himself in makeup.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I think you should be very proud of what you've done, and you're an inspiration.
Thank you.
You're an inspiration for other young people that might have a similar upbringing. Do you get what I mean? To know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, do you know what I mean? And it's not always all doom and gloom.
I know, and this is what I want to share in the career I'm doing. This is exactly what I want to do, looking after these young people and showing them we can have good lives. Statistics do not prevent us from having good lives.
And I think it's key with that shared experience is so inspiring. I think you're doing a great job. You can see that you're doing a great job with the young people that are with you today. I just wanted to, it might have got a bit personal straight away, but I just wanted to touch on that because I think it's an amazing journey. Do you get what I mean? So big up to you. Nice.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Sorry. What I wanted to ask was, how are you finding the day?
I'm finding it good. Like we've done a few bits here and there with like painting and stuff like that, and I feel like it's quite good to get the art side of you out with all these different things and seeing like what you're good at. Do you know what I mean? It just gives a bit of a highlight to it sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything that you didn't expect that's happened, or is it everything you expected it to be? Did you have any preconceptions before you got here?
To be honest, like, I wasn't really sure.
Okay.
I was thinking, oh, I'm not really sure what this is really going to be about, but I just thought, you know what, I've got a free day, so I'll just come. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Nice. I like that. Thank you for that. What about you, Hope?
I absolutely love the journaling part of the day. We at another event that the Creative Mentoring do, they had something similar, which was like collage making, and I took that away and I used that in my job with the after school club, and the kids loved it, and I just love stuff like that, and it's so nice to see the young people here too and see their creative side and how they're getting involved.
Absolutely. I think as somebody that's working here, it's nice to see that when you all first came through, you could see it on your faces. You had no idea what was going to happen. There was it looked like a bit of anxiety, but as the days progressed, everyone's just merged with one another and they've got on so well. I think that's the beauty of these events. It's like I just said, shared experiences and being able to speak to others that feel the same. Do you get what I mean? Like when you're in the same boat, and it's nice you give each other energy.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's big. Thank you for that. My next question I wanted to ask is, what is creativity to you?
To me, just like anything that brings out like you, like anything that you enjoy, really. Like it could be painting, it could be drawing, writing, anything like that. You know, every and each like individual is different, so you know what I mean. Like
Yeah. I like that. Hope.
I think that to be creative is to just do something that you love.
Yeah. I think it's like a freedom.
Yeah.
It's like a no right or wrong. And you know, to have that feeling of no right or wrong, it gives you a confidence and a freedom. So, I completely agree with that. Is there anything that's inspired you today?
I'm not sure. I think just like coming together as a collective and like seeing other people, and like you're not like the only one, like you know what I mean, like who's in care and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it just brings out everyone's individuality as well.
So you inspired to do anything after this? Is there anything that you're thinking, you know what, after today, I'm going to go and, I don't know. I saw you talking with the Curve. Are you going to go join the Curve?
We went over, I'm not sure what.
We got like pantomimes, don't we? We like the idea of
I love a
that.
pantomime. Oh, no, he isn't.
Oh, yes, he is.
He's behind you. But that's all my questions really. But I just wanted to touch on and thank you for sharing your experience of today.
That's okay.
And hopefully we'll get more events like this and we'll see you again. So keep shining and keep being the greatest you can be. We're joined by two more participants of the Youth Board event. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Esme.
I'm Emily.
Hello, Esme and Emily. So what I wanted to do was, before we get started, is there anything that you've seen in terms of art, a book, a movie, or anything that's inspired you in recent weeks? Can be absolutely anything.
There was this TV show, it's called Once Upon a Time, and it's filled with different stories from fairy tale characters and stuff. And basically, in one of the seasons, they go to the underworld where the sky is red. So I thought, I really like that. I'm going to make something of it. So I did a normal sky, and then I teared a part of it and then put a page underneath and drew the red under it.
Okay, I like that. That's proper creative, and that was inspired by Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It just shows the way some programs inspire us creatively. Anything for you, Emily?
I got inspired, so when I was doing my coursework for my art and photography, I got inspired by photos on the internet and managed to take my photos in sort of the way that the artist does.
Okay, I like that. So you saw photos on the internet and you was able to apply that style to your photos. Yeah, that's decent. I really like that. Thanks for sharing that. So what I wanted to ask is, how have you found today?
I found today quite interesting, actually. I learned about stuff I wouldn't know before about art and the different subjects of it.
Okay. I like that. What about you, Em?
I found it interesting with a way that
I've learned new ways that I can express myself through art.
I like that. So have you been inspired? Have you been left inspired by any of the workshops? Did you have a favourite workshop?
I think I liked the one where we did like the poetry.
Yeah.
That was a good one. And then the one with like the bullet journaling and stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that poetry one. What about you, Emily?
I enjoyed the junk journaling and the poetry.
Okay. You say you do art for coursework. What kind of art do you do?
So for my final design, I did textiles, but throughout the course, I tried different kinds of art to see which one I wanted to do.
Okay, and textiles was the one that you was after. Yeah, I like that. I like that one. What about you, Esme? Are you into art or anything like that?
I mean, I like art at the weekends and stuff. I don't like doing it in school because when you're at home, you have more creative freedom of what to do, and like it's not like you're being made to draw something or being trapped. You have the freedom and your own decisions to do whatever you want.
Absolutely, I agree. I couldn't agree more. It's that freedom that we have, that creativity. I think sometimes when we're in institutions like school and things like that, you're kind of herded in a direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. What I wanted to ask was, why is creativity important?
I think it's important because it gives you, instead of telling people how you feel, you can express yourself through your creativity.
I like that one there, because it's not always about telling people how you feel. Sometimes you can demonstrate it better, and I think art gives us a medium to do that. I like that one, Emily. Thank you. What about you, Esme?
I think sometimes we can't explain stuff with just words. Sometimes we have to like show what we feel. So I think art is a good way to get people's opinions strongly across of the world and how they feel about different subjects of the world.
I like that. I really like that. And then my final question, why do you think young people should get into creative careers?
I think they should get into it so they can express their mind freely and not feel like they have to do one specific thing, like they're not being heard, because they need to get their voice heard by doing something they love. And if they love creativity, it's good because then they're doing something they love and they can make that equally, they can be heard.
Absolutely, I love that. Thank you for that.
I think that they should do it because there's different medias that they can try, so they might find a way that is best for them to express themselves.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So overall, how have you found the day?
I found it quite interesting.
Would you come back again if we did it again?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. What about you, Esme?
I mean, I found the day quite entertaining because, like, I learned a lot more about art than I originally knew. So I think it was good for the learning experience and just an experience in general.
I agree. I've really enjoyed it today because it's been nice to be able to connect with people, converse and create. Do you get what I mean? I've said that in the wrong order in terms of what the event's called, but you get what I mean. It's been nice to actually meet young people, meet people working with young people, meet the organizations that try and help young people. I think it's been a really nice one-stop marketplace in essence. So hopefully we can do more of these in the future. Hopefully I'll see you again. Thank you for your time. Until next time, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Hi there, I'm joined by two of our guests from The Curve. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Tamika. I'm the Creative Programs Assistant and Speak Up Programmer over at Curve Theatre.
Hello, I'm Chandni Mystery and I'm the Creative Programs Practitioner, so I run loads of workshops at Curve.
Nice, I like that. That was a nice introduction. Thank you. So before we get started, I've got a question that I've been asking everybody today. So it is, what book are you reading or what piece of art have you seen, heard, discovered this week or in recent times that's had an impact on you?
I'm listening to a podcast at the moment, which is really random because I don't normally do that, but it's about ancient Egyptian women.
All right.
There we are. So I'm like learning all about Cleopatra and Nefertiti and Hatshepsut, whose name I can't say. But yeah, it's all about like queens who were actually kings, which I thought was quite a cool concept.
Very interesting, because all I know is Nefertiti and Cleopatra.
That's it,
Like,
yeah. And there was like 5 of them that were women who were queens, but then they acted like kings and they were called kings, not queens, because they were so bossy and boss woman.
Very
And I love that. So yeah.
I like that. Thank you for that.
And I saw last week, I'd say, I went to go and see a piece of theatre called Generations by a local Midlands writer. And Generations is a show that is about relationship between a father and a son.
Okay.
And within the black community. And the show basically follows the character Jermaine through his trials and tribulations of being a young black man, being raised in Britain, having to live with generational trauma and generational expectations, and the fact that, you know, he's broken down those barriers, he's gone to university, and he's just trying to find his way through the world that he's currently living with, and, you know, the specific challenges that he's facing within his day-to-day life.
That sounds so interesting.
Yeah.
If that was a book, I'd definitely read that. I'm into books. Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So, how have you found the day?
Yeah, it's been really good, actually. We met so many different young people whose interest, especially because we're from the theatre, so it's been so varied. Some people are like, oh, I haven't been since I was a kid. And some people love it and are like, what are you doing next? What workshops have you got? So it's just been nice to chat to people about it.
Definitely, and it's been very nice to hear what they're interested in as well. And then also, even though some of them might not have been interested in theatre, we've been able to get the brochure out and show them particular things that they, you know, that's out there for them. So
Absolutely.
it's been really nice to really connect and, yeah, network with young people.
Creativity has no boundaries.
No, it does not.
No boundaries at all. Thank you for that. I like that. So I've got a few questions that I'm going to run through with you guys. The first question is, why is creativity important?
Oh.
To you, should I say?
To me, creativity, it breaks down those barriers that some people face. I think, you know, creativity, it opens the imagination and it just transforms the, you know, the world that we live in, I feel. And, you know, for those people, I can speak myself, it builds up confidence and it gives you a voice. Whatever art form that you want to explore, it gives people a voice to explore that and, you know, expand their imagination, I feel.
Thank you, I like that.
I would say what Tamika said was pretty good, but yeah, giving yourself a chance to like get your thoughts out and not be yourself sometimes is quite nice, isn't it? You don't have to stand up and do a conference, but instead if you're acting in a show, then you get to be somebody else, but you still get to kind of let yourself go.
And there's no right or wrong either.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? There's no. Out of interest, have you got an artistic practice outside of what you do as a day job?
Well, I'm a writer.
Okay.
I write, one-woman shows about intersectionality.
What's a one-woman show?
Oh, what's a one-woman show? So it's what my woman what
I've never heard the
So
phrase
it's,
one-woman show
one-woman
before.
show is a show that consists of one actress or one actor.
Right.
For me, in particular, it's one actress, and it's based around that particular actress. And yeah, it's just that one person on stage sharing a story with an audience.
Interesting. You learn something new every single day. I appreciate that. Thank you. My next question is, it's more about advice for young people. So, advice for young people. Have you got any advice for young people who are making decisions about their future? Because obviously at the moment we've got lots of people at school in exam season, so we'll be making choices about further education, apprenticeships, etc. Have you got any advice that you could share with these young people?
I'd say get in touch with people. So if you've got a local theatre and you're into theatre, then get in touch with them. There'll be people there like us who want to chat to you. So right now we've got our work experience student, Eve, who's with us today actually. You know, she's got in touch and because of her passion, has come in to do a week of work experience with us. So, you know, you can be from any background as long as you've got a bit of time to either chat to us or come in and see what we're up to. We're always up for like helping out and seeing what we can do.
I think that's brilliant, man, because I think part of the stumbling blocks when I was younger, one of my barriers was talking to people.
Yeah.
Or even knowing who to talk to. Do you get what I mean? So I think for you to be so open in terms of come and talk to us, go to your local theatre and talk, I think that's
Definitely.
great advice, because that's what you need when you're young. You just need a little nudge.
That's it.
Like, go on, you can do it.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So yeah, thank you for
I'd
that.
say to always be open to continuous learning,
Yeah.
and if there's an opportunity, always say yes.
Yeah.
To opportunities that better you.
I like that. I'm still nervous about saying yes all the time. I'll be honest with you. Like, I talk myself out of things.
Why?
I don't know. Confidence sometimes. Sometimes, you know what it is? It's hard to believe. It's hard to see what others see in you.
Yeah, no,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think for young people especially, it's quite relevant because
Yeah.
it's hard for them to see what we might see in them.
Yeah.
Because, I suppose, life experience.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for that. The next question I have is, what have you learnt from the event? Have you tried any new skills, learned anything about creative careers? Has it made you think about pursuing a creative career?
Well, we were based next to the pedestrian table, and they had a DJing board set up, and we were looking over there like, this is something that we
want to learn this.
Yeah, we want to learn this. But going back to your point about confidence, we didn't feel confident enough
Yeah.
to get up and be
Yeah.
like, can we have a go?
Yeah, it's true.
Wade's brilliant. I worked with Wade on a couple workshops outside of TMC. He's brilliant. You should have had a go.
Next
I
time,
know.
we'll be
Definitely.
there, Wade.
And then my final question is, why should young people get into creative careers? I think we might have touched on this a little bit in the other questions.
But I think the thing is, a lot of people think, a creative career, it might not be stable, there might not be much money in it, I don't know what I'm going to get from it. Whereas if you're like going to stick to a real steady job, like an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor, you kind of know what you're getting, I suppose. But I guess just to say, like, if it is your passion and you want to do it, then give it a go, because people change jobs all the time. And like just me and Tamika between us, I don't know how many jobs we've had between us, doing different things. And I was a freelancer for like my whole life. I've only just started, working for a company, a theatre like this. So you've got to try it and give it a go. And if you think it's for you, then don't give up.
Yeah.
Just go for it. And don't worry about what other people say about, it's not a steady job or whatever. Just try it and then see how you go. If you don't like it, then fair enough. But
Some
you might
people
love
project
it.
their fears on their own fears.
That's
onto
right.
you.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
Exactly.
I think you had it all there. So
Okay,
spot on.
I like that. Thank you. You lot are brilliant. Okay, then my final question
All right,
is,
go on.
if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Ooh, say yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would say that because there's so many things I said no to. And I look back and I think, I could have probably done that easily, but at the time I didn't have the guts to. So say yes, and if you fail, it doesn't matter because you're just learning when you fail anyway.
Don't stand in the way of your own progression.
Brilliant. I feel like you lot are talking to me.
And me.
Speaking to our younger selves.
Yeah.
But I think I really believe that say yes to whatever comes to you, just say yes.
Yeah.
Because I think you learn more from defeat than you do from a win.
That's
So
it.
if it doesn't work out, you'll see why it didn't work out
Yeah.
and what you need to do next time to make it work out, or where you want to be and where you don't want to be. So I completely agree with that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for
Thank
having us.
you.
You've been brilliant. And for more information about The Curve, look on their website, which is... Google it.
Yeah,
Type
Google
in
it.
The Curve in Google.
Yeah.
And go into your theatre and speak to people.
Yeah, come and chat to the creative programs department. We're always about.
Website is www.curveonline.co.uk.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is Chantel from the Youth Board, just jumping in quickly because we realised that in the excitement of the day of the event, we actually forgot to record an outro for this episode of the podcast. I know. So I just wanted to jump on and say a big thank you to absolutely everybody who was a part of the event and attended, for participating in the workshops, and of course, connecting, creating, and conversing. Also, a big shout out to all of our fabulous guests for featuring on this episode, for sharing their thoughts and insights on all of the topics that we've discussed and getting involved. But that is all for now. You have been listening to the Mighty Voices podcast, and we will catch you in the next episode. See ya.